Now then, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA founder, is with us, and so too is Cabot Phillips, Campus Reform, with us this morning, editor-in-chief, I should say. Charlie, I'm going to start with you. There's a lot of dissatisfaction in America with what millennials are doing. Off to the beach, spring break, carousing in bars, in crowds. You know, it's not funny, actually. What do you say about all of this?
Well, look, we're doing our part at Turning Point USA. We employ about 120 millennials, and we're telling them to work from home, socially distance yourself, obey the administration guidelines. I know it's tough. I know it's difficult. It's tough for myself, where I travel over 340 days a year. But there's a crisis happening right now in the country. It's time for our generation to honor the generations that preceded us and maybe slow down our life a little bit. I know that's a difficult conversation to have, especially when the weather is getting nicer and there's all these trips planned to these wonderful places across the country. You know, I, for one, we're trying to play our part, do our role. And I just want to say, look, the administration has been dealt an impossible hand here. I think they're doing a wonderful job. I know many people in the White House that are sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night, working their tail off, and we really need to talk about them too, because they are dealing with something that is completely and totally unprecedented.
Okay, hold on for a second, Charlie. Cabot Phillips, you've been talking with students with Campus Reform. Yeah. What are students doing here? I mean, they're in a very difficult position, Cabot.
Yes, students are scrambling. The situation evolved very quickly. I've talked to many of them with Leadership Institute's Campus Reform, and it started with kind of confusion of, well, universities are saying we might have classes canceled, to now classes being moved online. Now we've seen commencement addresses being canceled because universities said, well, we don't know if we can afford these massive commencement ceremonies down the road because we're losing so much revenue because we don't have students paying room and board, things like that. And I think it's also important to look at why so many young people aren't taking this seriously. And I think it's kind of a boy who cried wolf situation. A lot of millennials, Generation Z, have been told with everything that it's a national emergency. They've been told climate change is going to kill you imminently. They've been told President Trump, if he gets elected, it's going to kill you. Tax reform is an emergency. It's going to kill you. So now when you have an actual pressing emergency, a lot of young people, they're not taking it seriously when they should be, because they say, well, everything else has been an emergency and it didn't really turn out that bad. So I fear that's why people are not taking this seriously. And it shows how you only have so much capital to warn people on things, and kind of shows you the danger of overplaying your hand when you have a real emergency like the one now.
Well said. Dr. Siegel, I know you want to get into this. What do you got to say?
This is a very important issue, and it starts with the fact that young people feel they're invulnerable. They haven't felt the hand of illness or the hand of aging. Neither have you, Stuart, by the way. Yeah, but the problem is that because they feel invulnerable, they hear all these dire warnings, and they're not at a time in their life when they want to be restricted. Sure. I think the best way to handle this, and I heard this advice from someone yesterday, not a psychiatrist, by the way, but psychologically, I think we have to set the right example. If we panic, our kids, our teens, our young adults are going to panic. We have to have a serious sit down with our young adults and explain what we're concerned about. It's an invisible virus. Viruses are invisible. Why it is that they're part of a larger public health community, and why what they do impacts grandma down the street. That's something that has to be a grown-up discussion. Now, the issue of whether campuses should be closed and whether these gatherings shouldn't be had is a completely different issue. I'm also concerned about when you send college kids home, they may actually, by their behavior when they're not at school, increase the risk. So that's another part of this.
I want to bring Charlie Kirk back in again to this. Charlie, have you seen any evidence that youngsters, millennials, are prepared to buckle under, to accept personal responsibility here? Are they canceling spring break? Are they not going to bars? Are they buckling under?
Some are, yes, not enough. And again, we're trying to play our part, and it's difficult. It's difficult to cancel programming. You know, we're a campus-based organization, and it's tough to all of a sudden say, yeah, over the next couple months, we're now not going to have much of anything happening on college campuses. I will say this, though, that a lot of the reason why young people are defying this is they've been given permission by their peers and permission by their professors to think that the President of the United States is an invalid president. This is rooted in the delegitimization of the presidency and believing that the president doesn't actually have constitutional authority to be in that office. I guarantee you that if this was happening under President Barack Obama, this generation would be taking this a lot differently. And that's too bad. And that's because it's been many years of delegitimizing Donald Trump as a person and as a leader and as an administration. And now you have something that should transcend political lines, and young people are just kind of shrugging it off, saying, oh, yeah, that's, we've been told we don't have to listen to this and we're going to live our life as we see fit. This is something different. And again, the administration, they're doing the best job they possibly can.
I agree with that entirely, Charlie. But are the youngsters responding and starting to think differently about the president and about the virus?
They need to. They need to is the answer, and not enough are. And I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know where that breaking point is. All we can do is act with what we say, and that's what we're doing at Turning Point USA. And I'm just trying to tell students and young people, you can be mobile, the most mobile generation in American history. You can still be productive while secluding yourself and socially distancing for a short period of time.
I got to tell you, Charlie, my heart goes out to those youngsters whose college experience is being rattled and changed. It should be a wonderful time of life, and at this moment, to many, it's not. Charlie, just let me give the last word to Cabot. You heard what I had to say. I think it's really unfortunate to destroy the college experience for a million youngsters like this. Go.
Yeah, many of our campus correspondents I've spoken to this week, and they say, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was supposed to be graduating, walking this spring. I'm not going to get the chance to go across the stage, get my diploma, and it is heartbreaking to see that. And I actually think we could see a long-term shift in education moving forward beyond this that lasts past the virus. I think a lot of people, millions of people, are being introduced to the benefits of online working, online education. I think a lot of young people are now taking online classes, and they might say, wait a second, I'm still getting class, I'm getting professors and lectures and interacting with classmates. What exactly am I paying $40,000 a year for? And I think you could see a lot of people who have just now been introduced to online schooling after the virus is gone say, well, I'm going to stick with that. That was pretty nice. It gave me some freedom. That could be a shift we see as a result of this, not only working remotely in the workforce, as we're seeing, but also in education.
Charlie Kirk, Cabot Phillips, both of you, I think we are going to see some profound long-term changes from this virus when we've gotten past it on the other side. And I think online learning may well be coming to the fore a great deal. Charlie Kirk, Cabot Phillips, both of you, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. One and all.
Thank you.
Christina at the New York Stock Exchange. Oh, winners. Tell me more.
Winners. Well, let's just focus on some of the